I listened to Elon Musk talk to Donald Trump for 2 full hours and then a little bit more so that you don't have to. Really, the whole ordeal took more like 3 hours because the conversation started 42 minutes late. I went on directly at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I'm on the West Coast. It was 8 o'clock Eastern time to start listening, and I couldn't get on. Like, lots and lots of people who were trying to listen. I kept getting this like unable to load whatever page. Eventually I did get on. There's like sad elevator music, which I don't use X Twitter Spaces. Maybe that's standard, but the sad elevator music is going for like 35 minutes. There's thousands of comments being like, guys, I can't hear anything. Is anyone else getting the elevator music? Then at 35 minutes in, the music cuts out and there's this like sort of shuffling noise. And I thought it was Donald Trump about to start talking, but that didn't happen for another 7 minutes. Elon Musk posted to X saying that they were the subject of a DDoS attack and that's why all of this was happening. And I was listening with my little brother, who is more technically oriented than I am, and he says a DDoS attack is when a bunch of traffic overwhelms a server. Like, it's an attack because someone's causing it to happen on purpose. Elon's like, look, we tested this with 8 million concurrent viewers yesterday. It should be fine. Yesterday, maybe earlier today, whatever. He said he tested it. I'm not a computer person, so I don't know exactly how this works, but insofar as I know, major companies and softwares are subject to DDoS attacks all the time. And perhaps if someone hadn't gutted his entire workforce, he would have been more prepared to respond to it, because this is strikingly similar to what happened when Ron DeSantis tried to launch his presidency or presidential bid on the same platform. Anyway, 42 minutes in, the conversation officially gets started. Donald Trump sounds throughout very lispy. I actually think it was a problem with his sound, with whoever was setting up whatever mic or thing that he was talking to on his end. I think that's what happened, but maybe this is how we find out that he lisps. Does he normally lisp? Have I missed that? If he normally lisps and I've missed that, comment and tell me about it, I guess. Anyway, let's go through some of the things that happened. The first thing I talk about is the assassination attempt. And Elon Musk spends a lot of time like commending Donald for being so brave and sticking his fist up in the air, and then also criticizing the Secret Service, which honestly valid. Donald Trump mostly uses the opportunity to brag about his crowd size and to sort of position himself as like a Christ-like recipient of a miracle leader of the people. He says that he only didn't get shot in like the face because he was looking at a slide presentation on illegal immigration that he likes to use all the time. And that's why his head was turned and it just hit his ear. And he's like, if you don't believe in God, God was protecting me that day. And then after he says that, he's like, oh yeah, but I feel bad for the person who died. He says it's another miracle that there wasn't a crowd rush because of course his crowd's so big. Trump reiterated his unsubstantiated claim that other countries are taking people from their prisons and insane asylums and putting them into our country, and said that he will oversee the largest mass deportation in the history of mass deportations. He came back to this like all night long. I cannot emphasize how much this is his talking point right now. Elon Musk says that he thinks that overall illegal immigrants probably are by and large good people, but there needs to be like a better vetting system to make sure that everybody who comes in fits the vibe. And then Donald Trump is like, actually, I think more of them are bad people than you think, Elon. Elon even says that he went, after saying that they're mostly good people, he says that he went to Texas to look at the border just to see it for himself. He popped on down, and that, most of the people he saw coming over actually weren't very friendly. So there you go. Trump spends a lot of time talking about Joe Biden. He calls him almost a vegetable. And then eventually at some point he remembers he's running against Kamala, and he says that she's actually probably more incompetent than him. I guess he's courting the racist misogynist, but I would think he should already have that vote locked down. Then there's this interesting moment where he talks about a illustrative cover of Time that Kamala was recently featured on, and compares it to how Melania looks, and then says she's a beautiful woman. We'll leave it at that. He also many times throughout calls Kamala a radical leftist. a statement which I think no one would disagree with more than the radical left. Trump stresses the importance of being feared but also liked by autocrats and dictators, saying that Kim Jong-un and Putin are at the top of their game, sounding almost envious. I'm going to say envious, discussing the power that Kim Jong-un holds over the people in his nation. He says something like, I saw things you wouldn't believe, and they're not on video, but I imagine him like his mouth watering while he says it. He says that Venezuela, a country currently locking up protesters by the thousands, taking passports from journalists and activists, he says that that's probably a safer place to be than here. And if he loses the election, that's where he and Elon should reconvene. Trump says now, as he has said many times, that the conflicts between Russia, Ukraine, and Israel and Palestine, those wouldn't be happening at all if he had been president, because I guess then, people would have just known not to go to war. I actually think he believes that that's true, which is the craziest part. Trump also says that we should be more worried about nuclear warming than climate change. Nuclear warming, a phrase which I tried to find a definition for, but I think he's referring to he's saying we should be worried about nuclear war, I think. And then Elon is like, well, actually nuclear power is a pretty good thing. And Trump is like, I think they need to, rebrand it. Like they should name it after you. And then Elon is like, I went to Fukushima and ate the vegetables. Trump really downplays climate change, as he is wont to do, and says that it will just create more beachfront property. I think also vastly underestimates the rate at which the oceans are rising. And Elon is like, hey, look, I may build electric cars, but I don't care that much about the environment. I'm not that worried about it. I do think that eventually if there's too much CO2 in the air, it'll be hard to breathe. So we should try and avoid that. But no big deal. No big deal. It does kind of feel like there's a little bit of a flirtation going on throughout. They're both praising each other. Elon keeps being like, you're doing so great at this conversation. Kamala and Joe, they could never have a 2-hour long ramble with me. Trump's even like, congratulations on this stream. It's going so well. There's 60 million people listening. And I don't know about that, because I was listening and I was looking at the little ticker, and it was just a little north of 1 million people. So about 60 times less than 60 million people. Elon Musk proposes a government efficiency commission and says that he should be on it. And Donald Trump says that, yeah, he would do a great job on it. And then Elon Musk circles back to this several times. He says he definitely thinks there should be a commission. He should definitely be on it, because while he does think that the government should be cutting jobs, they should create one for him. Trump praises Musk for firing striking workers at Tesla, and Musk is like, yeah, that was pretty badass of me, which cut to today, the next day, the UAW, United Auto Workers, have filed charges with the National Labor Regulation Board, because you're actually not allowed to threaten to fire workers for striking. Just to make sure he hits all the classics, Trump says that he won the Florida case, which, reminder, he did not. Also another classic, Trump says that we should just get rid of the Department of Education, and that we should just put it back on the states, and that 35 of the states will probably do an okay job, and that's good enough. And then 15 or 20 of them, he says 15 or 20 as if he's contemplating whether there are 50 or 55 states, or as if he can't tell what you add to 35 to get to 50. I'm not sure, but he says that some of them will do well and the other ones won't, and that's fine. Trump also says that it's very unfair for New York to be prosecuting him for crimes that he committed in New York. Then it's 2 hours into this. Now I'm hungry. I want to go pick up dinner. And they cannot seem to end the call, partially because Elon, not a professional interviewer, as exemplified by his many yeah that were uttered throughout the conversation, and partially because neither man seems to be able to let the other get in the last word. It's not an argument, but they casually both want to be the last to talk. And then also because there seems to be this no, you hang up first energy. The conversation does eventually come to a close after lots and lots of self-congratulation about how great everything went, apparently.